Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. I have a guest today, and I'm so excited. How is your week going? I hope it's going well. My week is going really well, and I'm excited to introduce you to one of my friends. This is Radiant Rap. Yes, you know I named it. Basically, for my friends and family, you are the ones that's here on Facebook, and it's Radiant because we do everything that has to do with our rest and activity awareness. This is pretty much an activity awareness thing. Diet, introspection, which has to do with our meditation and our prayer life. This has to do with that. Our diet, agua, note taking or journaling. This has to do with that, and training. So I'm very excited to get started. I want to introduce you to my friend. Her name is Sadahri Berry. And Sodari is a native of Tampa. She will not claim that she is a financial expert, but I will say she is a financial expert. She'll probably say no, she's not. But yes, I will say that. She's a wife and mom of two sons. She's a graduate from Florida A&M. Oh, wait, did I say she was a Tampa native? Let me not just glaze over that. It's a real big deal to be a Tampa native. You don't just know a lot of Tampa natives. At least I don't. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. I believe it's a great guest too. So she's a graduate of Florida A&M University and of South Florida, USF, and she studied business and finance. She had a 15-year banking career focused on corporate and commercial lending transactions with large local corporations. I said she's a professional, right? And she's retired. She retired to be closer to her family and raise her two sons. And she does some part-time work with her local family business. And then in 2020, she published her first book, and it's all about finances. So you're wondering, well, why would I invite someone when I always talk about health and wellness? Well, this book, For the Love of Money, Navigating Personal Finances with Stewardship and Faith. I believe, money can make you sick, right? And Sheila said, hoo-hoo, rattlers. So I want to introduce my friend, Sadari. Sadari, welcome to Radiant Rap.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you, Shannon. And I think you are so right. The topic of financial health and money, it is related to our physical health. And I think, it's one of the greatest sources of stress for people of any other part of our lives. And so I think, I'm just delighted for us to be able to collaborate and bring those two topics together.
Me too, Sadari. And I think, do you remember when we met?
Well, I think we met at Marlene's house.
Yep. Well, our mutual friend, Marlene, we did. Yeah. That was probably, I don't know, would you say 5 or 6 years ago?
Yes, I think so.
When I met Sadari, it was just something about your presence. You have a very calming, gentle spirit. And I connected with that right away. Mm-hmm. So anybody that is a financial expert that's cool and calm, I'm like, you know what? And now she wrote a book. Let me ask her if she'll come on here and share with us who want to be healthy financially,
Yes.
So, I mean, I just love the topic financial wellness. Like, I like using those words to describe it. How would you personally describe what it means to live a financially healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, and I love that question. And I love I love the broad description, financial wellness as well. And it's interesting because you could ask a lot of different people that question, and people will have very different ways to describe that or ways that they think of that. A lot of people think of it in terms of how much money you make, right?
Right.
Or, you know, some of the things like credit score and some of these, you know, like numerical ways of describing it. But when I think of financial health and
Mm.
financial wellness, there are three things that come to mind for me. And so
Mm.
I think about it in terms of practical, mental, and spiritual. So when I say practical, I mean, think of some of the things you teach us, right? It's the things you do, right? So you teach us about what we're eating, how we're moving our bodies. So the practical as it relates to money, what are the things we're doing? Are we budgeting? Are we saving? Are we investing? Are we spending within our means? So that's the practical side of financial health, what we do. But then I also think there is a mental side of financial health or financial wellness. And so what I mean by that is what we believe, what we think, what we say, our attitude about money. You know, I think those things are also very relevant because most of us, you know, on some level, realize that what we believe about something, what we say, and what we speak about something can contribute to what we experience in a particular area of our life. So the practical, the mental, and then I also think about spiritual, right? When I think about financial wellness is, and that's going to be something very different for everyone, okay? Because we're all coming from different walks of life, different faiths. We're all at different levels and different places in our walk of faith. But I think about, you know, our prayer life and how do we bring that into our financial affairs and our financial life. So for me, when I think about financial wellness, it is practical, mental, and spiritual. Those are all the things that that I'm striving for.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah,
I love that. So tell me, Sadari, a little about your journey of financial health and wellness.
Yeah, so that's kind of a fun story actually, and it dates back to my teenage years. Okay, so really, it's kind of interesting, as most of us do. You know, somewhere around high school, we have our first jobs, right? And I can remember my first job was at a grocery store, you know, near my neighborhood. But I could just remember, you know, opening the process of opening my bank accounts. And there might be some younger people on here who don't remember anything about this because we have online banking now. But back then, you know, we had our check registry. You had to wait until you got your statement every month to balance your checkbook, right? And I just remember at such a young age, no one was talking to me about money. So I had no conversations about it, but for some reason I just was very giddy about, you know, maintaining everything so perfectly. I would balance my little checkbook, you know, at the end of every month, and I just found myself for some reason just very naturally diligent about personal financial affairs, wanting to save money, wanting to save up for things.
Now, do you think your mom had anything to do with it? Because your mom is like, you know, I know your mom. She is a entrepreneur in the Tampa Bay area. She's, you know, a bad mama jamma in her own
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And so, do you think that that influenced you at all?
Well, I would say at that young age, I wasn't really, I didn't have an awareness of anything that she was doing. I mean, I was, you know, you're observing things, but I wasn't learning anything specific at that age, not at 16 or 17. It just wasn't a live conversation, you
Okay.
know, where someone had
Mhm.
sat down and said, here's kind of what you do or how you do it. Um, you know, that wasn't, you know, we weren't having those kind of conversations until later in life, more as adults. And so it was just interesting for me. My journey just started very naturally.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah,
You were a little lady. See, you're also. I mean, am I the only one that has described you as being an old soul?
no, you're not. And I definitely have, my own mother has described me as an old soul. Even when I was younger, she used to say that. And, but I think we all have something that, or certain things that do come naturally to us. We don't, and when they do, we don't even think about it. Like at that time, and then kind of going into college and my young adult years, I didn't think anything of that. Like I didn't look at it and think, oh, Sadari, this is something you're kind of good at. I didn't, it's just what I did. But we all have things like that, that come naturally to us. So that was kind of the start of my journey. But again, like I said, it wasn't something that I recognized consciously as a strength. I guess I just thought this is what everybody does, right? And it
Oh,
wasn't.
you did? Okay.
I
Well,
must, yeah.
one of the viewers, Tanya, said that she went into banking to teach her kids how to manage money.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids need that more than ever. They need that more than ever.
Well, tell me this. What inspired you? So fast forward now, What
Yes.
inspired you to write your first book on personal finances?
Right. So going back to the comment I made, I really didn't think anything of these, these little things I was doing. They seemed simple enough to me, and it continued to evolve. And as I came into really my college years and adulthood, people close to you start to pick up on things, right? And so I would get these little, I kind of developed a little bit of the reputation in my circle of being a little bit frugal. But people, but they, so it's kind of like joking and fun. But I did find people around me started to say things like, oh, you should consider writing a book, or you should, do something, maybe helping people with money. So I started kind of getting that, that outside commentary, but that was in my 20s. So I was really just kind of deep into my career at that time. And I mean, the idea of writing a book when you're 20 something years old, that just seems so far removed. So I didn't pay that much attention. It was like comments in fun. But it kind of continued. Like you start to get that outside recognition from people around you who are saying, maybe there's a little something here that you should look more closely at. And then the other thing that happened with me working in banking, of course, I began to have this awareness that this wasn't necessarily a natural thing for everyone. And I began to, yeah, so it wasn't until like my maybe mid to late 20s that you start to look around you and see people are struggling with this area of their life. And so then when I started to put together, kind of those comments from others, and then a greater awareness of what's going on in the outside world, then you kind of start to think, okay, well, maybe there's some way that I can contribute, to this experience for people. But again, you know how this is in your 20s, you're working, you're starting life, you get married, and then kids come. And so these little, it's like it was little nuggets, little seeds being planted. And then there was just this moment where I actually got a book idea. And it's not the book I wrote, so I guess I would say it's still kind of hanging out.
Oh, really? Okay, so is that your second book then?
Maybe that will be something else, but it was like the first real tangible, you should really do this, where you feel something within. And then when it came from within versus other people, I think that's when I really started, because once that kind of thing hits you, it almost, as much as you try to ignore it, like it kind of won't let go of you.
Yeah, I do. I can relate to that,
Relate.
for
Yeah.
sure. Well,
Yeah.
can you give a couple of practical steps that readers and viewers can take to create a healthy financial lifestyle in their day-to-day lives?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, Shannon, I'm a big proponent of creating spending plans. Some people will call that a budget. It may seem like a really basic and simple thing, but that if there was only one piece of advice, and again, I'm talking about the practical side of money management. If there
Yeah,
was only one piece of advice that I had to offer um, readers, viewers,
yeah,
it is the idea of developing for yourself a spending plan. Okay. And this is not about, a lot of times people think about budgets, they think about deprivation, and they think about, well, this is all about what I can't do. Right.
right.
But the thing is, and that's why I don't use the term budget. I use the term spending plan because that's what it is. It's a plan and it's a holistic plan. And so it's to empower you and it's to intentionally design a plan for how you're going to use your money, right? It's not about how much or how little you have. It's about on whatever amount of money you are living at this moment, deciding intentionally ahead of time how you will use it. And so for me, I think that is the most powerful tool that someone can start with in designing and improving or establishing a healthy financial life. And then
Having a
they kind of go,
spending plan
mhm,
and making intentional decisions
about what you will spend.
about what to spend.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
And I love the language actually that you use in the book. I have mine here. I have posties here. I have like assignments. I
Mhm,
haven't done them yet. But
mhm.
I should have. I've had this book for a while.
Yeah.
But I love the way you wrote this book. It's not boring. Um,
Mhm,
it's just plain English. Anyone I feel like at any level can read it. And
mhm.
whether you are already doing like a financial plan, I mean, I'm older, so I kind of have some things in place, but I'm
Mhm.
definitely getting tips from this book.
That's wonderful.
So
I'm
I
so glad to hear
appreciate
that.
that you did that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
spend some time in this book sharing your personal experience taking a leap of faith at a turning point in your life. Can you share more about this time and its relationship to the topic of financial health?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And you alluded to this a little bit in my background when during the introduction. I
Mhm.
feel like it was really important to include in the book, and what you're referring to is the decision that I made to leave my career after 15 years when my sons were young. And I just felt a very strong calling from within to be closer to home with them. And I think I'm thinking back now, so they were about 7 and 4, close to 8 and 5. And the reason I felt like it was important to share that story is because for me, that was an enormous leap of faith. And I think that even within the scope of all of the budgeting that we may do and developing healthy habits with money, many of us will reach a crossroads in our lives where we are called from one thing to another. And sometimes when we are called from one thing to another, it has an impact on our financial affairs in order to make
Sure.
that decision, whether it's to start a business or of our own, or whether it's like for me, coming home to be closer to raising my sons, might be going into ministry. There are all sorts of reasons, right, why people get to this place and they're trying to make this decision. And even within the scope of living a financially well life and lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
we may have those moments where we have to make choices that no Excel budget, no Excel spreadsheet is going to make sense of. And that was, that was the case for me. And so I thought like it was important to just share that, because so many people, we struggle, right? We struggle
Yeah.
with taking a leap of faith. We struggle.
In fact, I think you're answering my question that I wanted to get to. And if you all have questions, please do put them in the chat. And even if we're already off the air and you listen to the recording and you have questions, put them in the chat, or you have comments, put them in the chat. Sadari, my other question is, what inspired you to include the topic of faith in your book?
A part of it was this, okay?
Yep.
So, because when we make those choices, when we have to make a leap of faith, right, and we can't make sense of it in our numbers, it is drawing upon our faith that helps us to step out and, step out beyond our comfort zone, step out beyond, what we can see in our financial spreadsheets. But I'll, go back just a little bit too, because I will, say that when I started writing the book, that was not a part of my plan. Okay. But as I was writing, there's sort of this process when you're writing. It's like initially it's kind of a dump, like you're just, all the ideas are flowing, you're writing and just putting pen to paper. And then there's a point, at least for me, where I came back and I'm starting to read and edit. And what I realized is that something that I didn't intend was flowing into the material. And that was my thoughts around faith and things that I was doing and ways that my prayer life and my financial life were intersecting. And so then I kind of had to make the choice, like, do I leave it? Do I take it out? Is this really connected? And I feel like so often we talk about why money creates so much stress for us is because a lot of times our faith we don't talk about that as a part of our personal finances. And so I kind of just felt like that was a missing link in these conversations, overall. And so, so I just kind of made the decision to let it be, to leave what had naturally, come onto paper.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you
So
included.
it wasn't. I didn't start out.
Yeah. Okay. I love that you included those things. And near the beginning of the book, you said, "My greatest desire." I'm reading from. I think this might be in the introduction. My greatest desire is that together we will start a financial revolution that will change our culture from debt-ridden and stressed to lifestyles of greater financial wellness. Girl, I was like reading the pages like, oh, this is so good. I mean, you just used words that, of course, as a wellness professional, they resonated with me. From the money side, you were talking about being healthy and whole, and that being such a big part of your conversation.
Yeah.
So a couple of people are at work, so they're saying they're sneaking in for a minute. So some of them are sneaking in and out, and they'll watch it on the replay. They're saying, so I love that.
Yeah. But it is a conversation about being well to me. I mean, even though there's a lot of number crunching involved, I just, like we said in the beginning, our finances, it touches every area of our lives, and so for me, I do think about it in terms of wellness, more so than just how do we crunch a bunch of numbers and make the most money. It's wellness wherever we are with whatever we have.
Well, and that's what another thing I liked about the message, though. So it wasn't, first of all, it wasn't just like boring, numbers, and it wasn't like just like, I don't like to tell people, oh, you can only eat fruits and vegetables. I mean, you
Mhm.
can live and eat the things that you enjoy eating. It's just a balance
Yeah.
of them. And that's how I felt like you were saying, and adding that faith component, it did
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Like, you're not telling people that they can't enjoy their lives. And this book is relevant regardless of what your income bracket is too.
It's
I thought.
relevant. It's relevant if you're wherever you are,
Yeah,
wherever you are and with whatever you make, it is relevant
I
because
love it.
our financial lives, I mean, it doesn't matter if you, and listen, I mean, if you make $1 million a year and you spend $1.2 million, you got an issue. You got the same issue as somebody who makes less and spends too much. So the conversation really is the same, right?
Yes, it is
Yeah.
definitely the same. Well,
Yeah.
before we close, can you tell people how they can purchase your book?
Yes, yes. So the book is available on Amazon. The book is available also with my publisher, which is Book Baby Bookshop. And they can purchase it at either place. I will say, in my experience, the most consistent and reliable place is Book Baby Bookshop in terms of availability. And so those are the best two places. It's available in other places like Target and other places online, but those are the most common places that I know people utilize.
Yeah, I forget. I think I might have got mine from there because I got it. I think I pre-ordered it before it came
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
So yeah, I was very
Either
excited.
either is fine. Sometimes people have Prime and they have different things, but those are two great options, though.
Okay. So yeah, do, my friends, if you're looking at improving your financial situation for the love of money. OJ's, I would have played that at the beginning, but I don't have the rights to that music, so I'm not trying to get in trouble. But I love it because it is navigating personal finances and with stewardship and faith. Sadari, thank you so much, my friend, for coming on and sharing a little bit with the viewers. We'll make sure that uh, Sadari is tagged, and so that if you want to follow her, she's on Instagram, she's on Facebook too, I think. Are you on Facebook?
I am.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know you're on Facebook because I tagged you for the interview.
Mhm.
So if you have questions, feel free to reach out. Okay, my friends,
Thank you.
listen. Start where you are, whether it's with your financial health, where it's physical health, mental health. Just start where you are and do what you can. And this book will give you some steps to do that in your financial health. I love you, and there's not a thing that you can do about it. Again, thank you so much, Sadari, for being here.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right. Love you all. Nothing you can do about it. Bye for now.